Hey guys, this week on Ask Rory, I am answering a question that I get probably once or twice a week, which is how can I tell if my son or daughter's youth soccer coach is any good? So let's go. This question almost always comes in the same format where I get a parent who is either not happy with something that the coach is doing or the way the coach is behaving and is trying to get my opinion on, is this a good situation for my son or my daughter? So what I'm gonna do is give you guys a toolbox, so to speak, of things you can look for to determine if this is a good coach. So the first thing is when you bring your son or daughter to training, is it set up? Does the coach come beforehand, set up cones, set up pug goals, have everything organized? Or is the coach get there right when practice starts and takes 5, 10, 15 minutes to set everything up? This goes to, are they prepared? Are they organized? Are they coming in and having training ready to go when your son or daughter gets there? Is the training fun? Is it something that your child enjoys going to, or is it something that they're miserable at and they feel bad about themselves when they're done? At the same time, is it challenging for players who are looking for something more? Does it excite them to go to training? Does it give them a hurdle and a challenge to get through? Is there actually coaching being done at training? Sometimes you'll see a coach just set up fields and they have the kids play. And while I understand there are some elements of having kids play at training, there needs to be coachable moments, things that the coach is teaching them so that they can get better. So what are some things that during a game I would look for to determine if this is a good coach? So the very first thing is, are they joysticking? This is a huge problem in probably all of youth sports, but definitely in soccer, where the coach is giving specific instructions to the players. So pass it here, run there, go, look here, he's open, play the ball here. All of these things take away the cognitive opportunity that a player would have in a game, in a moment, to make a decision. And sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, those decisions are wrong and they make errors, but that's how they learn. And if all you do is have a coach who's telling every single player exactly what to do, your player is not learning the game, they're not developing. Are they yelling and screaming their head off? Are they yelling at the kids? Are they yelling at the ref? All these behaviors are totally childish and quite frankly, don't help your player. So how accessible is the coach? Are they good about getting back to you in terms of emails, in terms of phone calls, in terms of text messages? And at the same time, do they have clear expectations for you and your player? Have they given you clear guidelines in terms of interacting with them? For example, do they have a 24-hour rule? This is very common where they are happy to discuss your player, but it has to be 24 hours after a game. I personally use this as good practice. Do they give evaluations? Is there a process for evaluating your son or daughter throughout the year? Do they give feedback? If so, when? Because if you have a coach who doesn't interact with parents, who is standoffish, that's another big red flag. So this one's a little bit harder for parents who don't really know the game well. But in youth soccer, we have an epidemic of coaches who don't know how to play and don't know how to coach. And really, they're only caring about winning. And the easiest way to win, especially at the youngest age groups, is to take the biggest, fastest kid and try to kick the ball down the field to him as far as possible. So you don't get what we call building out of the back. You don't get pattern combinations. You don't get any of that. And you can tell very quickly if a team will play like that. So just as a lay person watching the game, if all your team is doing is blasting the ball down the field, this is not a good coach. If your team is organized, they have a structure about them, they seem to know what they're trying to do with the ball, without the ball, then you have a good coach. Also, if you have huge disparities in playing time, all in the name of winning some tournament at 9 years old, run away. The coach is there to develop all the players. And while yes, there will be some disparities and some players will get a little bit more time on the field than others, and I have my own thoughts on that depending on what position they play and things like that. There should not be these great disparities just because a coach wants to win a stupid game at 9 years old. So lastly, guys, there are some things that people often talk about as being important that, in my experience, I've found is not very important. So the first is, did the coach play at a high level? So were they a professional? Did they play in college? Again, I think this is really low on the priority list in terms of importance, especially when coaching the youth game. They may have tons of experience playing, and that might be a great asset to their coaching. But in general, I found that's not always going to correlate with them being a good coach to a 10-year-old or 11-year-old. Also, coaching licenses. I can tell you right now that while getting a coaching license, as I've gotten several myself, does help, especially with your knowledge of the game, your education, at the youth levels, a lot of times the licenses are meaningless because you're not really being taught how to coach 10-year-olds when you're taking your B license, for example, or your A license. And again, it means a lot and it takes a lot of hard work, so there's nothing wrong with it. But again, it's not something that I would put high up in terms of importance. More importantly would be, how much experience does this coach have specifically at the age group that we're talking about? And what kind of reputation does this coach have within the club, within the community, with other parents, things like that. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If you have additions, please put them in the comment sections or email me directly. Keep the questions coming. I'm hoping to do this segment as frequently as possible, hopefully every week. So thanks for watching.